I will indeed proceed. What's going on, people? It's myself, Chris, and Alex. We're back. Only a couple weeks after The Mandalorian ended, we're back to be once again slaves to Disney because they're the only ones in this new day and age of streaming that can still make events somehow. And because we're all enslaved to them, let's just get the facade out of the way. Let's cut the bullshit. They've got us all by the cojones. We all know what is going on here. But guess what, people? Today's also sort of a celebration because the MCU, after a year off thanks to the dreaded COVID, is back in a completely brand new form, brand new phase. We thought it was done with Endgame. Nope. We're all suckers because guess what? We're going to still keep watching their shit over and over again, people. It's WandaVision time, so we're going to spend the next 8 weeks now talking about their newest broadband platform show. WandaVision dropped its first 2 episodes today, and I don't really have a fancy name for this one. I'm just like, okay, it's WandaVision, and then we're just gonna keep going because we're gonna do Falcon and Winter Soldier after this. We're gonna do Loki after this. We're gonna be flooding you guys with Disney content just as much as Disney is flooding us with content, which is good for us because Disney equals numbers. So I'm here with Chris and Alex, the Levels of the Geek guys, and I'm of course Dom, the movie nerd. What's going on, guys?
Yeah, dude. I mean, I'm doing good.
After that intro.
Yeah. Like, whoa.
It's like, damn, Alex, he's going all in.
I'm glad to have you here tonight, man, because not only do I think you're one hell of a performer, the last time you were on the channel, unfortunately, I wasn't able to make it. So this
is our asses is what happened the last time he was on our channel. One of a couple people who saved our asses.
Hopefully, hopefully you get the full Talkin TV experience here with both me and Dom. Hopefully you're able to get a word in, really. But you, out of all the people we know, I think don't have an issue with that.
Talking, he'll get a word in. He always does. I was fighting him for word space last time he was on.
Never.
We got some folks in the chat hanging out, unboxing. Dude, thank you for hanging with us yet again. We always appreciate it. And of course, Stranger Boy, the loyal, faithful Stranger Boy. Guys, thanks for hanging with us tonight. As we chat, let us know your thoughts on these first 2 episodes. Talk to us. We'll read your comments on the stream. We want to know just as much of what you made out of this as I'm sure you want to know what we made out of this because let's be honest, we didn't get much. So
but what we got was certainly a lot to work with just as far as like so many different things breaking down like where the MCU was going to go. Because I feel like the biggest question that all of us had coming into this, right, we all have the same, all jokes aside, right, we all have the same thought process on our head. Oh my God, where are they going to go after Endgame? This is going to start to feel tired. We're really going to start to feel the effects of the superhero fatigue. And if these first 2 episodes show anything, it's that Marvel is still kicking ass. They are still running the gambit, of course, and they are still showing, you thought that we had played out all our tricks. You thought that we were done. Nope, we're not DC. We're not just tired and repetitive. We got way more to throw at. And what do you know? For their first Disney Plus show, after Star Wars had already kind of cleared the board with The Mandalorian on that, they pull this show out of their ass, which doubles as a semi-throwback to old TV shows. Like, we're going to get into all that on this show, guys. If you're not familiar with the format overall, like, once again, very similar to The Mandalorian format, albeit with a little bit of flexibility. We'll be recapping the events of what happened in each of the episodes, followed by our positives and negatives, our overall thoughts on the episode, what we liked, what we didn't like, followed by, I don't know, Chris, do you want to do an MVP for this season? Only because I don't know if there's going to be enough like characters involved to like really crown an MVP. So
no, we definitely can. Just because you don't have one doesn't mean I don't.
All right. I just want to make sure. All right, like I said, I'm kind of flying loose.
Alex does too.
I'm kind of flying loose by the seat of my pants here, definitely. And then
we got to stick to the format because I think that even though, like I said, we didn't get much, I still think there's a lot to talk about.
Yeah, no,
don't get that mistake.
Most definitely, yeah. And of course, we'll end it with its connection to the overall greater universe because again, people, universes are the way to make money nowadays. So we got the Star Wars extended universe, which is supposed to be going on now, and we got again the MCU, which existed primarily in movies. Again, Kevin Feige doesn't acknowledge those Netflix shows, so unfortunately we can't either. And we of course still have the Marvel Cinematic Universe to acknowledge. So again, before we get into, only because this is like kind of again, this is 2020 was obviously the first year in 10 years that we did not have a single Marvel property came out because obviously all the movies and TV shows that were supposed to debut last year were delayed to this year, obviously. So it was interesting. So before we dive in really into this episode, I just want to get your guys' thoughts overall without talking about anything in the episode, what it was like to dive back in, flick on that Disney Plus app or website whenever you went on it in order to watch the episode today. And like, what was it to be like, all right, we're back. Like once the Marvel logo floats across the screen, you're like, we're back. The MCU is back. What were your guys' thoughts just going into that first and foremost?
Yeah, I'll turn it over to our guest first.
Well, wow. It's funny when it comes to Disney Plus app, I actually I don't turn it on at all. Like only for my kids, but other than that, Mandalorian, and that's it. Because other than that, the movies, of course, everyone owns them. Pirates. Everyone owns almost all the movies that's on Disney Plus. So there's no reason, unless you don't want to pop on your disc and put it on the damn player. But other than that, is there really a reason for you to go to Disney Plus and hit that damn button? But we're talking about TV right now. Not many people will own all of them anyway. So with that said, it was very unique for me because I am not. Once Endgame happened, the movie, I'm pretty much done with the story. I could give two craps what goes on from now on because we all know that they're gonna try to milk the crap out of these stories. So for me, once all of the main dudes were gone, and of course there's tons of rumors flying around that they all coming back, which I don't care because again, that movie happened. That is it for me. Like I could give two craps. You could bring back Chris Evans, you could bring back Robert Downey Jr. for all I care. You ain't getting me suckered. But and it's funny because I told Chris this. I was like, dude, the only reason why I watched WandaVision was because you asked me to come on the show. Because other than that, I had no interest.
Damn,
in WandaVision. Okay.
And
I told everyone on the channel, on Levels of Geeks, I told everybody, don't expect Marvel stuff because I had no like craziness for it. Like I will see the Falcon Winter Soldier, but just the pilot. If it hooks me.
Before we jump into it, just because I'm curious, and we some of our audiences might not exactly be the same. You're very much so in this geek space. I mean, Levels of the Geeks, right? But you seem to be disenfranchised not only with DC but also with Marvel. So, what is the nerd properties that are doing it right for you right now? Before we dive in and talk about these episodes.
Well, in terms of Levels of Geeks, it's all stuff like if you notice, I have a 32-inch of Os Ventress statue I haven't even opened. I'm more of a hardcore collector. Like I have tons of statues that I just ordered and I'm open. I'm more of an unboxing, physical media and stuff. But in terms of like properties of I read my comics. Like I read my DC comics. Like right now, I'm so excited with the Future State Batman because it's Tim Fox, which is totally different. I'm like, hell fucking yeah, but we already know that DC is going to destroy that storyline if they ever put that on screen. So I'm like, let me keep that away. But in terms of like putting geek stuff onto the channel, it's not more of, for me, it's more of a community-based channel. Where Monday and Wednesday, where I have Nate on Monday and we talk topics and whether it's news and geek stuff. Yeah, then we have me and David from Flicks Talk. He's another co-host. We break down, we have fun, we talk about reboots and originals. We have fun with that. But when it comes to properties like DC and Marvel, first of all, it's way too saturated on YouTube. So there's it doesn't even matter if I do cover it. The amount of people trying to watch it, it's gonna be 0 to none. Like let's be real honest with everybody here. But if people are interested in it, yeah. But the problem is if the person is interested in it too, because I'm not gonna just do a fucking Marvel show just because I know it's gonna get ratings. I don't care for that. I'm here to hang out with everybody. That's the point of Levels of Geeks. I'm channeling. We're having fun. But if I got the same questions a lot too. Like, dude, you're not. I did cover tons of DC. It's just that I don't rewatch these movies 100 times like everybody does to look for Easter eggs. I don't fucking do that. I watch it once. I hate it. I ain't popping this shit back on again. That is it. Unless,
honestly, I feel bad for everyone that goes out of their way to watch Batman vs Superman and Suicide Squad more than once. I watched both those movies more than once. I wanted to gouge my eyes out. I hated myself so much for doing that. I'm like, I broke my own rule because I never see a movie that I hate more than once.
I mean, like the Snyder Cut is coming back. That's my opportunity, right? But that's my opportunity to go back and rewatch Man of Steel, Batman v Superman into the Snyder Cut. Not to see the grand picture that this guy's vision was supposed to be. Other than that, if it's good, great. If it's not, oh well. It suckered everybody anyway because everyone's gonna watch it and everyone's gonna talk about it. But yeah. So, and I used to do a DC show too. I had a DC show on YouTube called DC Now and Forever. But with my kids, it's hard to plan 20,000 shows at the same time and to
Totally.
think about. So, other than that, yeah, in terms of levels, it's more of a community based. Whatever they watch, we talk about it. It's like a radio show. But
It's got to be good for you to. It's got to be good for you to
Exactly.
watch it. You're not going to shill out for anything, and I definitely respect that. That's awesome.
Yeah,
man.
like Cobra Kai. Oh, let me just get. I know we're doing this shit, but let me just get you to Cobra Kai.
You haven't been on it in a while. You're allowed.
Yeah, a lot of people texted me, and then me and Dave talked about this last Wednesday. People texted me, "Oh my god, you got to see Cobra Kai." First of all, everyone knows I fucking hate Karate Kid, so there's no way I was gonna sit down and watch that shit. Two, I don't even think the fighting in that show will even keep me into it, because we've been watching because we've been doing a lot of movie action, because that's another thing. We have a podcast which is action movies. That is it. That's all we cover. So right now we're covering the Ip Man franchise.
Nice.
And after watching that martial arts, I was like, you gotta be fucking kidding me if you think I'm gonna sit down and watch fucking
Cobra Kai.
Cobra Kai. That piece of shit is nothing near what these guys could throw up on the Wing Chun, and all that other shit, that kung fu that they throw out. So we started laughing on air, but that's pretty much it. I'm more, and the other thing is I'm really, like, I don't hold my tongue for this stuff. So that's my thing. If I think it's a piece of shit, I will let everyone know it's a piece of shit. People could have their faces all they want. They could defend it till they turn fucking gray. I'll have my reasons. They will have their reasons. But I'm not going to be here to blow smoke up fucking Marvel's ass if I think the damn thing is garbage. So that's just me.
Hell yeah, dude.
Hell
yeah,
definitely. Yeah. So
With
Chris,
that
after
being
that,
said, yeah, let's get into it then. Initial
let's
thoughts.
start
Let's
recapping. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I mean, well, let me just give a basic brief summary, because I think
Yeah, go
this will
for
be
it.
what's
Go ahead.
best to help summarize it, because I feel like this is not like The Mandalorian where we have to focus in on the individual plots, because for right now the actual individual plots of the episodes that we've gotten so far don't seem to matter. So these episodes are untitled as of right now. What's it called? They're simply entitled episodes 1 and 2 on everywhere I can find IMDb, so they don't seem to have any official titles.
Right.
Written and overseen chief storyboard supervisor is Jack Schaefer, who was a co-writer on Captain Marvel, and all 9 episodes of the show are going to be directed by Matt Shackman, who has directed a lot of episodes of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, and also directed 2 episodes in the 7th season of Game of Thrones. So this episode basically follows Wanda and the seemingly resurrected Vision after the events of Infinity War and Endgame, moving to the town of Westview in an unknown state with a few kind of odd changes to their reality, let's say. First of all, they're in black and white. Second of all, the format of the shows, of their setting, seems to have taken on the form of these kind of iconic 50s and 60s TV shows, right? So you've got the 3:4 aspect ratio. If you got the old school sets, Marvel made a big stink about the fact that a lot of these, they had a live studio audience, obviously COVID safe and everything. So they move into this town, and it immediately takes on this kind of weird Twilight Zone / homage vibe, because the interesting thing is that even though they have the setting of these shows, they're following the modern day television rules, right? So even though they've got like the typical old school jokes and hijinks, they've got animation, they've got already way more diversity. They're throwing in a lot of modern day jokes overall. But it immediately becomes apparent through subtle hints that are dropped throughout these 2 episodes. Something is not right. What it is, we don't know, whether this could be an illusion generated entirely by Wanda, or whether it is some form of alternative dimension or some type of induced hallucination. We don't know. We have no idea what it is that is exactly going on here. But what we do know is that we are in for quite a ride as we continue to tackle all of these different TV genres and similar stories to it. Because again, the actual plots of the episodes, there's not that much going on. You've got the first episode, they're trying to remember to throw a dinner party, and the second episode, they're trying to do a magic act in order to impress the talent board. It's silly stuff. It's very silly, lighthearted stuff.
Yeah.
But Elizabeth Olsen and Paul Bettany reprise their parts that they made famous throughout the Marvel movies. And already they're impressing the hell out of me, because already within these first 2 episodes, they're being given so much more to act with than I feel like the 4 Marvel movies that they were each in, respectively. 4, 3, one of the 2. I think it might have been 3 now that I'm thinking. No, 4, because, it was 4. So, they're already being given a lot to deal with, and we're already being given a lot, because despite the fact that it seems like we're in for some very surface level, very kind of easy, safe stories, once again, like Marvel always does, they show that there is more to meet the eye. So, that's really all I'm going to say as far as the recap goes. Again, we're not to a point in the series yet where the stories are super crucial, and there's a lot to discuss just yet. So, Chris, Chris, you've already got a big grin on your face, so we're going to dive into positives and negatives of what we thought here. Alex just kind of went on a long-winded tangent as far as, just his relationship with everything goes. He set the tone very nicely. Like, honestly, I hope that the rest of the show can follow up with this tone because,
Alex, I don't know how much you know about this, but I've been dying for Marvel to come back on air so I could rip
Chris
it to shreds again because I hate Marvel so much. So my initial thoughts. All right, we'll start with the positives. We'll start with the positives. That's why I was just like, preach. You know what I mean? Like, keep going at the beginning.
How about just go overall, man? Just throw the positive, negative in one, and just plow, throw them shits on the screen.
So, yeah, I actually thought that for the first time, Wanda and Vision felt like characters.
Agreed.
Okay.
Because of these movies and how much they're managing, and we really never we didn't get Wanda and Vision in a more intimate moments. They were always in the war room, so to speak, or they had their moments in Endgame, but like everyone had a tiny moment in Endgame. I mean, even Ant-Man. So it's like they were still always sharing screen time. Yeah, exactly. They were always sharing screen time. And so as cool as they were, as visually pleasing as the Vision's like costume is, and like I love his coloring and all that, they did an awesome job with his character, bringing him to life. Like I'm a comic reader, so I've known about him in the comics way before I saw him on the screen. I think they really did that well. I still didn't know who they were. I didn't get any personality from them. So I really enjoy them as characters, and I can actually now say that I think they really work in that role, kind of similar to the tune that Dom gave us. But was I impressed with these episodes? Sure, there was some nice homages to some golden days of TV. I've grown up watching my fair share of Happy Days and Honeymooners like anyone else. I'm curious by film. I love it, so I check out all different eras. And then there was obviously some charm there, and they recreated it in a way that was true to Marvel, that also paid homage to obviously the time that they're in. But I just think the way that they're dispersing this story, and I hate to bring it right to the streaming versus Netflix style release pattern where they drop it all at once. But I just wonder if it was like, hey, we need to spread out content, and COVID really messed up our release schedule here at Disney. So we have a lot of stuff coming in 2021. We thankfully have a huge slate, but we're still going to be starting a little slow. So let's do these once a week. Whereas I think if I could have binged it, it would have been way more of an enjoyable ride. Just because I really feel that it was kind of boring. Like it was a boring hour of TV, a half-hour episode. So you watch them back to back. It's like an hour. And as impressive as it was, like my film school kid was like, oh, wow, that, Marvel's showing me something of cinematic value. Okay, that's actually kind of cool. But that can't be the only thing a show lives and dies on, because I was bored, quite frankly, very bored throughout the entirety of it. So whoever else wants to jump in now, that's kind of my initial thoughts,
Alex, jump into your initial thoughts on it.
I'm going to be...
so you watched it. You said you weren't going to, but you're watching it because you were like legitimately enjoying. So tell me, what were your thoughts on the first 2 episodes of WandaVision?
I'm going to be really honest with you. I saw it because of you guys. Like, other than that, I was not going to put it on. Like, I didn't even... First of all, those are the 2 characters that I don't even like in the movies. So that's even worse. So, but... With that said, my initial reaction was the first 5 minutes, I was going to shut it off. I'm going to be honest. It was, first of all, I don't care what style they were going to do. I don't care what they were trying to present. First of all, it felt like a Honeymooners meet the Bewitched meet I Love Lucy meets God. Every show that my dad grew up watching, I felt like I was watching in this. And for me, it didn't do nothing. Like, I don't even care for the story because right 10 minutes in, you already thought you were watching one of those things from like a Supernatural episode that they got sucked into the TV and they went into like another universe. And maybe it is, Scarlett Witch's, like how her life could have been with Vision if he didn't die, because we all know he died. So how is he back? We'll figure it out. But my thing is, this is a shitty way to start it off, because I thought it was going to be a way at least show off how they got to this point. Not, hey, we're black and white, and it starts off with these corny intro from like the 50s, and they all trying to walk through the door, and I don't know. To me, it didn't work. I didn't like it. I was just like, this is not for me at all. I already know like going down is gonna be She-Hulk and Winter Soldier. Yeah, Winter Soldier and the Falcon, because those are more action heavy. Other than that, this black and white shit, like I said, I would have shut it off 5 minutes in. I would have said goodbye. I don't care. You can spoil it for me. Peace. But yeah,
Oh man, I mean, you guys pretty much took all the points that I had already. So I'm gonna, like I said, my round is gonna be mostly playing devil's advocate because here's the thing: while I largely disagree with you guys as far as how the perception towards the first 2 episodes go, and I always think it's unfair to judge an entire season of a show based on its first 2 episodes. But at the same time, you guys do bring up points that I agree with. So
I wasn't judging the entire show.
No, we're not judging.
But that's the thing. So my whole thing is, I don't know why. I think I've just kind of been trained by just kind of, because I came into really my knowledge with TV mostly through HBO, which did the traditional week-to-week, episode-by-episode. Now, granted, HBO was on such a high caliber that it's so hard to really compare anything to them. But that being said, I have kind of been trained to that. So as far as judging individual episodes super hard, I never really, just me personally, go in that hard on them because I know they're going to be a bigger part of the whole overall. And so that's why, well, I largely did agree with you guys as far as these 2 episodes go. Again, it was so steeped in what it was paying homage to that it almost kind of fell into a lot of those traps, even though it was largely subversive for the most part. What's it called? Just getting into those what's it called? Oh my god, lost my train of thought. Give me a second. Damn it! I hate when that happens. It happens.
It wasn't really that good if you can't even think
Yeah,
about
if you
how to play
can't-
devil's advocate.
No.
He lost his train of thought. He loved it.
Yeah, right? Just completely lost my train of thought. No. But so, what I will say is that it definitely seems indicative as far as if Marvel's willing to be this risky right out the gate with their first thing. Think about it this way. This is their first thing that they've had. The first Marvel art they've seen since the last Spider-Man movie. That's a long time if you think about it just within internet years. It's like 2 years in internet years. That's like 5 years as far as internet years go.
But can I ask you a question though?
Yes.
I'm sorry for cutting you off.
No, you're
but
fine.
if they took this risk, would have took this risk with this as a movie going to the theater? Because they would have flopped.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. But here's the thing. That's the
Not at
time
all,
we're
yeah.
living in, right? That's the other. No, but that's the other point that I wanted to bring up is that again, this is very clearly not a movie. This is a streaming show, right? It was made directly for streaming, and they made this as a result of the fact that they were going into streaming. Trust me, this never would have been made as a movie. Absolutely not. It's too risky. It's too experimental overall. But it's part of, again, what Chris and I talked a lot about as far as what was going to be happening with Marvel going forward with their future phases. And already off the bat with Phase 4, they're showing that, yeah, they're not going for the traditional superhero show because they could have so easily made an Arrow or a Flash or any one of the DC shows, just kind of like on a much lower budget, But if there's anything to say is that, getting back to my original point that I initially forgot, I never judge a show based off of, I kind of take each episode as it is, and I wait until the season's done before I fully evaluate it. That, I think, is the best way to consume TV, especially now. Back in the day, with those 20, where we would get 22 episodes over the course of a year, that's a different story. But now, because the stories are just much more cohesive, they're much more centric, every episode, it's not like you get a pilot for a TV show, right? And it's not the same as back in the day. Because back in the day, you got a pilot, you didn't know if it was going to be if you were even going to get the rest of the show, right? That's just how traditional TV worked. Now, if you get something, you're going to get an entire season. So knowing that kind of cognitively allows me to kind of take each first new episode of a new show that we get, whether it's a premiere season or a future season, with a grain of salt.
Yeah.
That being said, I largely appreciated what they were doing here. I actually did, because for all the silliness of the plot, like, I'm keeping on the forefront of my head, okay, these are meant to be silly. These are meant to be light. These are not meant to be the focus. These are literal distractions for us, right? And again, granted, Chris, this is where I get back to kind of comparing you to your point where you're like, yeah, we do have this massive flood of content, but we also need to fill these episodes, right? That's the point. But that's the point of storytelling overall. It's kind of this never-ending battle that we find ourselves in with kind of long-form content, is obviously we can't get crazy action in each episode because that gets boring after a while. You want at least a cohesive, centric story. And while these stories, again, are not anything deep, at least from what we've seen yet, it definitely seems to be hinting towards something larger and at bay. And I think when taken into account with the full season as a whole, I think these first 2 episodes are going to be proved to be something special. That being said, I didn't grow up with any of these shows. So even though I thought it was cute, I thought it was kitschy as far as the whole, black and white approach. The first episode is obviously Dick Van Dyke Show meets I Love Lucy, and second episode is very much so Bewitched meets what's it called? Just name another show of that ilk at the time. I think they said that next episode was going to be covered like Brady Bunch as far as that theme goes. And
yeah, that was in the trailer. So.
Yeah, it's cute, it's kitschy, it's cool that they're kind of paying homage to their history overall. But I have yet to see. I feel like the most interesting aspect to me going forward is going to be how this is a result of Wanda's fantasy overall, and why she chose, kind of whether consciously or subconsciously, chose this particular style as the fantasy, and how they're going to work that into her character, as opposed to just being like, in order to distract us, the viewers, are thinking, oh, this is just an excuse for Marvel to like do these like terrible throwbacks to like these 50s TV shows.
Yeah, no, listen, I hear what you're saying, and I think Luke is obviously, I mean, I think anyone that, and especially our audience being so in tune with television and movies and how it all works up, it's clearly going to pick up. That's not my worry. My worry is two things. One, will they pick it up in an interesting way that's not just a Wayward Pines ripoff or any of these like sort of like network style shows that we had where they're trapped and they're trying to escape, but then they realize when they escape the reality they're in isn't that good because, hey, Vision did die, like Alex said. So does them escaping mean that they have to break up and he's not there anymore? So do they have to make this like very cliche, corny choice where is she almost willing to live in this fake reality to have her husband alive? Which I guess that's compelling, but it's been done so many times. I'd like for the MCU to do a different spin on it. But to like even a larger point there, your sentiment about what you just said, they know what they're doing when they release 2 episodes and then they put the next 9 or 7 out week by week.
Yeah.
This is the water cooler right now. We're still on lockdown last I checked. Us doing this on a Friday night, interacting with the chat, the 3 of us talking, this is the water cooler. So they don't really get forgiveness for not having 2 exciting episodes out of the gate because they know the nature of the way critics are these days. It's YouTube based, it's Twitter based. They know what's going to happen. So I'm not going to forgive them just because they did have some cute, kitschy moments. And I actually really enjoyed some of the tropes at first, but then it just got so played out because the storylines within them weren't like, if you watch an old Honeymooners episode, it's corny, but like it's well thought out. And it's only corny because it's jokes of that era, and they couldn't say as much as they could on TV now. Right. And the mentality and the way that, you know, the interactions back then, the societal structure limited sort of how far humor could go, but it's still really well written. Like this was not well written to me. So I think you got to keep that in mind. It's like I'm not giving them any favors because of that fact, because it's Disney, because they send out screeners, so they know how people are going to break this thing down. It was bad. It wasn't that good, to be honest with you. But Alex, what's your comment on all this?
I wanted to say was because I know what you said about the pilot, and to be honest with you, it doesn't even matter what decade or whatever newer generation of writing. A pilot is a pilot. If it's a piece of shit, it's a piece of shit, regardless of how they develop the story in episode 2, 3, and whatever. It gets better by episode 8. If it takes you episode 8 to get better, then that means it's horrible. Like that flat out. Like, let's just put it flat out, because there's TV shows, and I don't watch TV shows at all, but my wife talks about it a lot because she watches all this stuff, and she's like, man, by episode 2 or 3, they get good. Like, it just builds up. And that's what you want in a TV show. This TV show did not start at all like that. It just started off like a fucking honeymoon show. Like, hey, how you doing? She's doing stupid shit with the dishes. She slammed it on his head, and people's laugh track went off. And I'm like, this is stupid. Shit is stupid.
It definitely seems like you guys are not a fan of the creative choice.
No,
and I can understand.
I know the parody was clear. I understand what they're going for, but it was just so poorly done.
That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that like you guys just aren't a fan of how it's done. That's fine. That doesn't necessarily reflect the overall quality. But
the thing is, don't get me wrong. I appreciate that they went back to those eras. My problem is I want to know in the beginning of the fucking show, how did they get to the 50s? Because if you're going to start off with a corny intro and then you're going to develop it by episode 7, because from what I gather from these 2 episodes, and I'm going to be honest with you, it felt like a lost episode that they are like, she's trapped on a table and they got fucking shit in her head, and they're like Truman showing the shit out of her. And then she's going to wake up and then pull the cables out, and Vision was gone the whole time. And then he's going to talk to her on the screen, and she's going to go, you know, we can't do this no more. And she pulls the plug like some fucking Armageddon. I don't want to close my eyes. I don't want to fall asleep because I miss you. Look, honestly, I understand what you guys are talking about, but you got to look at, and I know you guys are big on TV shows. And I mean, I can see you guys are very passionate for this stuff. But from a person like me that don't watch TV shows as much, you gotta hook me in the first episode. Like that's the whole point of this thing. Now, just because you throw names like if WandaVision and these are from the movies, I don't give 2 shits. You gotta catch me from the first 5 minutes and get me going. And if you don't do that by episode 2, the dude's a magician. Come on, man. Like, why the fuck is he a magician? Like, Come on,
I agree.
That's stupid.
And I'm with Alex. Like, I appreciated the filmmaking, like I said, but I just don't think the writing was interesting enough to justify like I thought it was actually really well done. It was nice homage, but it played its hand very quickly. And when they didn't offer anything new to it, like that reveal panning out and having the guy watching them, on the black and white computer monitor or whatever at the end, that wasn't enough to paint the allure because the trailer told me that.
Yeah.
When it's glitching in the trailer and it's going from black and white to color, anyone who's watched, more than 5 movies understands what they're telling you there. And then at the end where that guy pops up out of the sewer.
The beekeeper.
Okay, we're finally getting something interesting, but then we do nothing with it. She runs away from it and we cut to black. And it's like, so we really don't know more than just
the color helicopter with the logo.
Right. Yeah, like that was it. And I just, so it's going to start to come together. I hope it picks up. I think for me, the binge, the method in which they chose to release this, I really think hurts it, especially with the way audiences are now trained. Zero patience, wanting to consume everything right away. But Dom, I know you haven't spoken in a minute. I kind of want to get your argument there, but I don't want you to think I didn't appreciate the filmmaking because that's not how I felt.
No. That's not what I was getting at all. My overall point is that, again, they made a very specific creative choice as far as in order to support the inherent narrative and inherent narrative twist that we all kind of know is coming in hopefully soon, right? Because I already know that like the next episode is like even bigger as far as the hints that it's dropping. But what I like is about like what I liked about those points specifically is kind of the different interesting points, like the Twilight Zone slash like, Alex, I'm glad you brought up Truman Show-esque elements of it, where again, like the things that are pointing to the facade of the world that they're trapped in, right? That it's a little bit too perfect for them, right? Obviously, that inherently plays into the theme, and that theme is strong enough to me to support kind of the silly overall story covers, because I understand that they're just covers, It's not, whatever we're watching, it is supposed to be a fantasy. It is supposed to be not real. And that kind of makes the actual storytelling a lot more disturbing and a lot more mysterious than, to me, a lot of the previous things that Marvel's done. Granted, it's pretty weird to probably compare this to a lot of the previous things that Marvel's done, because for the most part, Marvel's always been cut and dry, straightforward. But I like this. I like that we're not getting all the answers at once. I like that it's getting drawn out and we're getting these little hints dropped here and there. I feel like it's going to make for a very interesting watch overall. And I think that it's going to make whatever the narrative conclusion is, like, this is the stuff to me that makes those twist endings so satisfying, And the fact that, again, if it was just like kind of just getting like regular boom thing here, boom thing there, I don't think it would work as well, as far as it drawing you in. So that's why I kind of go based on the idea that, like, based on if a pilot can hook you, that's a subjective feeling overall. But, like, that's just my thoughts. Like, I'm kind of putting aside any problems, which are, I'll admit, minuscule problem, because I didn't really hate the episodes. They were quick watches, so whatever. So anything that like kind of painfully drew me back into like all the shit that I hate about most sitcoms and TV shows in general, it's quickly replaced by kind of the underlying dread that comes from the fact that this world is not real. I like those types of movies. I like those types of stories. So regardless of whether or not you agree with the creative choice, I have to admit it's an interesting choice, and I'm interested in where they're going just based off of what I've seen so far. Not to mention the fact that the little creative color bits and hints, they seem to almost be like making fun, to like slowly poking fun at their own formula, as far as like, they're known for dropping these tremendous Easter eggs. So now they literally have an Easter egg that is like referencing the outside world. You saw the little sword logo on it, so we have to assume that sword is going to play a big part into this. You hear the FBI agent's voice, Jimmy Woo, played by Randall Park from Ant-Man and the Wasp. That's his voice on the radio. We know there are other MCU stars that are going to pop up throughout this as we keep going on. And also, obviously, just based on the trailers, what's going to be up with Catherine Hahn's character? Is she like a figment of this world, or is she something else? We obviously know for a fact that this is going to tie into Doctor Strange, Spider-Man, and Loki. So it's a lot on the line. And again, I'm getting away primarily from the first 2 episodes a little bit. But the point being is that these 2 episodes to me were indicative of the MCU overall storylines to come. And I don't think that, just personally, because the creative choice for the narrative outlet just didn't bother me as much overall.
Yeah, the thing is, we know that Kevin Feige always has a plan. Whether you agree with that plan or not, it is well thought out. And for them to have this be the first official start of Phase 4, I'm going to trust the process, because I actually grew to appreciate Marvel more than I have over this past year, especially of doing the podcast and talking to all these new commentators we've come to work with, who have different opinions on it, who, just because it is, I think the charm about DC, at least when I read it, is it takes more risks on the page. Like, I read the source material for this Vision run back in, I think, 2017 when it aired. I forget exactly what it was, but the name, but I did read it, and I already remember it being 10 times more interesting than what we got. And that was already safe because it was a Marvel comic, but I am going to trust the process. I just think that Disney is caught up in a tough situation with this one because it feels like it's going to set up a lot. And I don't want that to take away from what we're going to watch for the next however many weeks. I hope this just isn't like The Mandalorian season 1, where it's the conduit to set up all of these other shows that we're going to eventually get. Boba Fett, that hero show with like, Cara Dune and all of them. Maybe Timothy Oliphant will come back for that. Like, hope it's not just like, let's introduce everyone in phase 4, get us reacquainted with this Vision show, play to their nostalgia, right on the heels of the fact that, okay, it's Marvel. We know people are going to watch it regardless. We're still on lockdown. People are going to watch it regardless. And we can kind of coast by with like something that's safe and corny. Because like they have such a chance to reinvent themselves in this new phase. We've seen the formula. Now it's time to shake things up. How much longer are people going to go for it? Right now, it doesn't seem like they're going to do that. And that's why I guess I'm coming at this a little harsh. Because I think if anyone has the resources to shake things up while still keeping the largest film franchise audience, it's Disney with their resources. So I'm a little frustrated kind of seeing what we got and expecting something different based off how they were hyping it all up.
Yeah, I'm definitely just still in the boat of Disney. Again, they are known for obviously not taking tremendous risks, but their stuff is enjoyable because I've enjoyed all of the stuff that they've gone on, that they've produced overall. I've loved the majority of their superhero movies just for the fact that they've produced superhero action to me in a way that has just revolutionized film for better or for worse. And kind of the thing that I'll always go back to it is because I guess maybe just because I'm so inundated with it, but I'm always interested to see how they can shape up the story because the original superhero story is the same as everything else. It's always the same no matter how you put the different coat on it. So I like that in recent years, the ones that have taken kind of the biggest interest in telling different types of superhero stories that's, for the most part, despite it having started with other studios, is Marvel still, especially now. Like, I still very much appreciated how they were able to pull off Infinity War and what they were able to do in Endgame, kind of incorporating all of these different structures from that we are and tropes that we're familiar with within previous media properties and continuing to play around with that. I think that to me has always kind of been their greatest unsung strength, and I think that's part of the reason why they've still been going strong for, obviously now, again, we're in our, 12th, 13th, something like that year of Marvel. And the fact that now they have this much confidence in the fact that we're going to get simultaneously their shows and their movies like all at once throughout the entire year because we're making up for 2 years worth of content here. Like, that shows. And so while I'll definitely still meet everything with a healthy sense of skepticism, again, I don't love everything that they do. I'm still really only enjoy like 8 of the MCU movies overall. I'm still very interested to see how they continue to shake things up and how they continue to kind of define the primary mode of storytelling, because for right now, they're still running the gamut as far as that goes.
I'm sorry. I was going to say, I mean, you guys brought up a good point on Disney, not Disney, Marvel throwing up stuff and people are going to watch it anyway. And that's the biggest point. They could throw shit on a piece of paper and people are still going to watch it. They're still going to review it because they know they can. And that's the difference with this COVID. That's going to make it. It's going to make it harder because, look, nowadays everyone's a critic now. Everyone got a YouTube channel. Everyone is now getting accesses to these screeners before these TV shows come out. And rightfully so. But where it comes down to is the entertainment value. Now, they chanced it with this black and white stuff. We really don't know how this is going to spawn into every other branch out there in terms of shows. But they took a big risk. Now, by episode 7 more, you guys said?
It is 7
right?
more episodes.
So 7 more episodes. Wherever this ends, whether it's going to open up for She-Hulk, whether it opens up for the Winter Soldier and all these people coming in to help them or whatever it is. Because it would be awesome if it ends with them breaking her out of wherever she is. Like all of them, She-Hulk and, everyone that has their own TV show except Loki, but everybody else comes in to break them out of that facility. That would be a very awesome ending to a season, because now they're going to split up and you can see it from their point of views where everyone went to start off the show. But no, it's pretty cool. Look, I can hate it or whatever. It was okay for what it was. In terms of the two main characters, I thought they were okay. And I always remember that Scarlett Witch was Russian, wasn't she?
Yeah.
That's English.
They got rid of that as soon as possible because they're like, oh, man, the sooner we can get rid of these accents, the better.
Yeah, I was thrown off. I was like, wait, isn't she Russian? Like, I was like, what the hell's going on here? I feel like the Holly Berry of X-Men. Like, she lost how to talk African. Like, I was like, what the hell?
I mean, did you hear her African accent in that
was
first X-Men
horrible.
movie? It was terrible. I was almost happy when she dropped that. I'm like, thank God.
I would have fired her and got Angela Bassett as Storm and be like, thank
man,
you.
dude. Angela Bassett is Storm. Don't get that part of my brain working.
But yeah, look, in terms of this whole, where does it set up for the future episodes and movies? I honestly don't even know, because honestly, they didn't give you nothing to go, hey, this slots me for Civil War or, Ant-Man 2 or I don't like, you know what I mean? Like, you really don't know where this could fit in terms of the overall timeline that they gave you guys. I
do think, though, with how generic of a structure this is, though, this sort of setup that they're in, where when they break out and they realize what was actually happening to her, all these pieces are going to come together. They think later on in the season, that's where tie-ins could eventually come in. And I just hope that there's actual substance in this season and it's not just the setup to phase 4. Because Luke just pointed out in the chat, this was the largest TV budget of all time at $225 million. So now I'm even more upset at how just sort of... And 25 million, dude.
It's because they're saving it for all the effects that are going to come in the later episodes.
That means that they're bringing in more actors in terms of the universe.
Yes.
Because that means dudes like, she was affected by Ultron, so that means James Spader's coming into this show somewhere, somehow. You got Ultron coming into this show.
They also mentioned potentially Evan Peters as Quicksilver, which would be from the Fox X-Men movies, which would actually be pretty cool.
But he wasn't. Cool with that, actually. Yeah, but he wasn't the brother.
But they could have it be if she's breaching through different realities. Again, the multiverse.
Oh Lord.
Yeah, and I also really like James Spader as Ultron, so I'm okay with seeing him.
Top 5 MCU villains for me.
He actually was an interesting MCU villain, so I'd be okay with that. And now I'm actually a little excited that you noticed that, Alex.
About what?
You just made this Chris's favorite show of the year.
Because I thought that both of the two characters you guys referenced, James Spader's Ultron and then that Quicksilver, I thought they were actually interesting, whereas most of these Marvel characters that come on screen, MCU or not, like I could care less about those X-Men Fox movies, by the way, just so you guys know. I could care less about them. So
you have to admit that it is pretty hilarious how after X-Men in one movie did Quicksilver so good and he was a throwaway character, 1 year later, Aaron T.J. is the new Quicksilver in Age of Ultron, and we can all admit that is a thankless part. He has nothing to do with that entire movie.
No, he was a piece of crap.
Nothing to do. Absolutely nothing. I felt so bad for him. I'm like, damn, the best you could do is have banter with Jeremy Renner. Like, ouch.
So yeah, Dom, I mean, I feel like out of positives and negatives, I feel like, I've said all I could say. I don't know, Alex, did you have anything you left on the table?
I can say on this. I'm looking forward to what comes next. Again, this is a taste. This is a morsel. I compare it. I can't really compare this to The Mandalorian because by the end of the first episode of The Mandalorian, we at least knew what his plot was. We have no idea what's happening. Again, I like that for the purposes of this story because I don't think all stories should be the same. I think each story should be able to do its own kind of different take, and for right now at least, enjoy the direction that they're going with overall. But again, I got to see what comes next. That's really all I have to say as far as, my overall take is.
I mean, in terms of positive and negative, I mean, I said everything I had to say. I mean, nothing, like I said, is this something that would have captivated me to continue watching? Absolutely not. And if it's something, do I want to watch the TV? Absolutely not. Like it has nothing for me to go, I want to finish all 7 episodes. Like it didn't hook me to go, hey, finish this. At the end, there's a light at the end of that tunnel if you continue watching. Absolutely not. They just gave me a dude on the TV for a millisecond. You got a beekeeper coming out of a sewer. You got a kid drop their toy in the grass. Other than that, then Wanda's spacing out every here and there. She's hearing voices through radios, and I'm like, oh, this reminds me of damn Lost.
All right, we don't need to go. We don't need to go there, but I know what you're trying to say.
No, huh? No, I'm a big Lost fan. Like I got all the memorabilia and crap.
Okay,
gotcha. But the thing is it has all that crazy shit that it's okay, now you have to have a psychology, a physics book to figure out what the fuck we're gonna go with the storyline. No, absolutely no way. But I mean, for those of you that love this damn thing, hey, continue going. There's a story there for you guys, but for Big Papa Al, there ain't no story. and I'm going
Oh my
on
God.
to my
This
next.
episode is our best episode yet.
I'm going on to the next.
This is the best episode we've done yet, easily.
To go off your morsel analogy, Dom. Excuse me. I'll describe it as this.
Only because I think that's a metaphor you've used as well before.
Yeah, and I like it. So here's what I'll describe it. It's like
Oh wow, pun intended.
it's like going to your favorite restaurant and getting a bad meal. You know, like there's quality there. Sometimes the kitchen doesn't produce something good, so I'm not fully out on this. I think anyone to just say, "Oh wow, the first 2 episodes, I'm done." Especially if you're committing like Dom and I to watching this each week, that's not right to your viewership. That's not respecting being a critic. That's none of that. You got to go into it with an open mind each week. Give the show room to grow. But right now, I just sat down. Off a workout, off a long day of work, super hungry, and I got a terrible meal from my favorite restaurant, and I'm not feeling too good about it. So I'm hesitant to go back. I will go back because it's my favorite restaurant. But if I get a few more bad meals, I might have to cut them out and find a new spot, and that's always a painful thing to do.
Hey,
And
you
I
know
don't
what?
want to have to do that.
You quote Lost even when you don't realize that you're quoting Lost. It's hilarious.
You know
Gotta
what?
go back? Really?
I am going to go with your food analogy, and I threw the shit in the garbage, and I ain't coming back to this restaurant. This restaurant for me is good. I'm going to the next restaurant that they got over there.
This is our best episode yet, easily.
Sometimes you get a bad meal.
Is
So
it worth crowning an MVP since we pretty much made our thoughts clear? I mean,
I would've
Chris,
been
I know
like,
you
hey,
said you had an MVP.
I think we could.
This
All
food
right,
is rotten. Can we send this shit back?
This isn't what I ordered. I wanted time traveling like spy missions. I wanted straight up action, not this fucking TV
man.
throwback bullshit.
Yes, this shit has diet. Ask for regular.
Oh man, yeah.
What is funny is diet is usually worse for you, but
Yeah. No, I want no, man. Oh, that's too funny.
oh man.
No, but you know what's funny? I don't care about I don't want people to be like, oh, it does. I don't care for action. Like yes, I'm a big action dude. I love my action stuff. I do watch certain shows that don't have action, and I'm okay with it. But like this episode, these two had no action. It was just more comedy based. They're trying to develop the characters because again, you guys said it that there's gonna be a big fight somewhere with these characters. So they're holding that a $225 million
Just
budget.
keeping also in mind that when it came to action sequences, these two were usually there's a reason why their action sequences in Infinity War went by the quickest because they weren't that great. Vision can throw down, but he never throws down as much as he should because he can kill everyone with ease. And Wanda's, it's not that her powers aren't effective, but it's just the choreography involved with that type of ability. It's just like it hasn't been perfected yet, you know?
Dude, it's the same thing with Storm. All she did was tornadoes and wind. I'm like, yo, your name is Storm. You
Alex, you know what happens to a toad that gets hit by lightning, right?
Oh,
the same thing that happens to everything else.
I was like,
Joss Whedon wrote that line.
oh, dude, I was like, wait a minute, you're Storm. Use Storm. Tornadoes is cool. Wind is cool. Lightning is cool. I know you guys got better special effects out there for Storm. You can give me. She comes up with fog. Like that's like 10 cents in a computer effect world that you can throw on a screen.
Yeah, pretty underwhelming for sure there.
Oh,
Yeah,
my God. I was about to say.
I
We're
mean,
just completely off the rails right now.
I mean, we can do MVPs. I think it'll be quick. I can
Chris,
pick
do
one
it.
for overall the 2 episodes. I actually do got to throw it to what's her name? Elizabeth
Olsen.
Elizabeth
Yep,
Olsen.
the forever unknown third Olsen sister until she became more famous than both her sisters by being in a couple Marvel movies.
Because I thought whoever
she's
played
related to the.
She's their sister, yeah.
No way.
She's the third Olsen sister. She's just not a twin.
Wow, so she's
I
the
did
little
not know.
Did
sister.
you guys not know that? I found
No,
that
I had
out
no-
the
I had
first
no
day
idea.
I found out she was cast in, because I found that out because when Age of Ultron came out a year before, the two of them, Aaron Taylor Johnson and Elizabeth Olsen, were married in Godzilla the year before.
That I remember.
And then they were brother and sister the year after in Age of Ultron, and I'd never heard of her before, so I did some research. I'm like, oh shit, she's the third Olsen sister. Okay.
Dude, I had a little sister growing up. Mary-Kate and Ashley was always on. There was always a version of that in the
That's
house.
cool.
That's wild to me. Yeah. So, and I guess I still have a little sister, but she moved out. So, nothing sad there, thankfully. But anyways, yeah, I mean, I thought that with the Vision, he was overacting to a point where it was very annoying. He was really trying to, he was not easing into the role of paying homage to a 1950s, 60s sitcom. He was forcing it. Whereas I think finally getting to see both of these characters under a microscope, she really felt natural. Even though they were parodying I Love Lucy and all those shows we referenced at the beginning, she didn't do it in a way that felt like she was reaching. You know, it felt like it came very natural to her. It felt I saw depth to her as an actress for the first time in the MCU, and I thought she also played sort of like the duality of it pretty well in the same regard. We'll see if that gets better. I mean, look, it was hard to pick an MVP. I'm not saying this is the greatest performance I've ever seen. She's going for the Emmy this year. Not saying that off these 2 episodes, but to pick an MVP, that would be the MVP for me, and why. Hopefully it all gets better, though, to be honest.
I'll go next. I had literally the complete opposite of Chris. Mine's Vision. I loved Paul Bettany. I've loved him from day one since he was first in the MCU as Jarvis. And then when he got to the story behind him getting the Vision part in Age of Ultron is awesome. And then he, even though he barely had anything to do in any of the movies going forward, it's funny he had more to do as a artificial voiceover than as an actual in-person android robot. But he was still awesome, and he's still crushing it here. I think that, again, I think that kind of his overacting, I don't know, I kind of miss overacting in general. There's not enough of it anymore. And so kind of him just, having the over-exaggerating expressions and really leaning into, that kind of overhyped, goofy 50s character. I think it suits him perfectly. It suits his acting abilities perfectly, you know? I'm glad that he's getting to, have a little bit more life in his performances and fun. But I still love Elizabeth Olsen. She's still fantastic. I always thought she had potential to make the role really great, but again, was just not given the right amount of material and screen time to work with. But here, she really does shine. I think the two of them shine even better. Even in their small scenes that they had in the big team-up movies, their scenes I thought were really, really well done. I also want to give a shout-out to Kathryn Hahn. Even though I feel like we have yet to find that they're intentionally keeping her character mysterious, but I definitely think that's going to be a character to keep an eye on, obviously, as things go forward. So, yeah, that's my MVP, is Paul Bettany. Alex.
Now, MVP, so you guys got to give me a clear, so what do you mean? So
basically, it's anything that has to do with the show. It could be a character, an actor, a director, overall, just an element of the show. Sometimes
I even pick the setting
MVPs.
for one episode. Yep. The score it can be anything that really, any aspect of the filmmaking that really stood out to you.
Yes.
You know, I'm going to be, I think I'm going to go on, it's going to be weird. People are going to be like, what? I'm going to go with Vision. And the reason why, and I don't know if you guys alluded to it, most likely not, is that he is playing a robot. So remember, he's not going to have those 50 tropes because he is a robot. So he's going to act weird on screen. So he's trying to be as horrible as an actor because he is a robot. So if he was doing it real, like a real, I think he would have hit it nails on with Elizabeth Olsen. But the fact is that he is a robot. He is trying to act even worse than he can on screen. Now, again, this is just my thinking here. I don't know. I'm not the dude behind the camera, but my thinking is because he's a robot, he's acting even worse than an actor. It's just, what can he play with? So he's just acting poorly. Because he was, and I agree with you, Chris, he was poor. I mean, he was like, whoa, why? But then if you really think, you go, wait a minute. The guy is he's a genius in a robot suit. He's not a human. So he's acting even worse down the line. And I think, other than Olsen, the reason why we're going back to this time period is because I think in Russia, I think this is the shows that she was watching as a little girl. That's just my,
you're right. There you go.
Damn, you just cracked that wide open. I guess I don't regret my MVP, but that was a goddamn good point.
Do you want to hear what's probably the most ironic, what is going to be the most hilariously ironic thing about these MCU shows going forward? Is that the MCUs could barely hope to get nominated for anything outside of the technical categories for the Oscars, right? The Oscars never took them shit seriously, and now these shits are going to clean up at the Emmys because Mandalorian somehow got a nomination for drama series in its first season. And Giancarlo Esposito got a nomination for guest actor. When the fact that he was nominated over Werner Herzog is a crime against humanity, but that's neither here nor there. But these shows are going to clean up, particularly this show, which is playing to television history. It is doing the thing that Oscar bait movies do. This show is going to clean up at the Emmys, and all of the future shows I think are going to clean up. It's going to depend on the genre because, again, action shows for the most part are still for the most part ignored, so I don't know how Falcon and Winter Soldier will do with them, but it's going to be really interesting seeing, where all these different like kind of TV show tropes that they're supposed to lean into. Like She-Hulk is going to be a legal-based show, and Moon Knight is going to be like more of a vigilante action show, and Miss Marvel, I think they said is going to be something along the lines of like a kid coming of age thing, and like they're doing all of them. They're doing it all. And Loki to me is still like the most. Loki and What If to
doesn't
me
watch
are still
sports.
the
You
most
may not have got that
interesting.
reference.
I don't watch sports.
Oh, that
So-
means timeout.
I know what it meant. I know what it meant.
Because
I'm
I
not a
didn't know.
complete idiot, but
I didn't know that She-Hulk is illegal. Is it like Daredevil?
kind of.
Like-
From what I they were very very vague with the description, but that's what they said is that it would be a
Oh.
legal based show. Well, she's a lawyer. That's the whole thing.
Okay.
Jennifer Walters in the comics is a lawyer, so
Gotcha.
that makes sense. You know, as
I
far
don't
as
know
that
the
goes.
character. I just know Bruce Banner is a scientist and he got hit with that freaking gamma ray and he became the Hulk. So
Yes, well, his
Yeah.
cousin was a lawyer who I believe was involved in a car accident, and then he gave her a gamma blood transfusion in that turned her into She-Hulk. But that's
Are
just a
you
quick
serious?
60-second lowdown on the origin of the
can't make
She-Hulk
these
right
things up.
here.
that,
So 2-1, Vision wins over Wanda, even
So,
though
Alex,
Wanda's
you-
so fantastic.
Yeah.
So
Knowing all that, are you going to stick with the MCU TV verse now?
no.
what about Loki looks fun. Come on, you got
No,
Loki
no,
and
no,
What
no,
If.
no, no, no.
What If
If
looks amazing.
Well, I do know the comics of the What If. I'm gonna see like I said, all of them. I'm gonna watch the pilot. I'm gonna give all of them a fair shot. But in terms of me doing like how you guys are doing a show after show to break them, no, because honestly, I'm not a Marvel dude to break down these, and I don't know these characters for me enough to break them down. Like I don't know the damn She-Hulk story. So imagine me doing an hour show of She-Hulk when I'm like, yeah, Bruce Banner. I'm talking about Bruce the whole time. And where the cousin got hit by a car and he did a blood transfusion.
Yeah, it's a lot there. There's a lot to unpack
Take it
there.
seriously.
That
It's
is
a
too
lot, it's so
funny
hard.
to think of because I don't think they're gonna do it that way. Because knowing they're gonna have to do it like in a movie Hollywood version where like
Yeah.
he grabs her and he goes, "Take her to my
Just
lab,"
imagine,
and
like,
it throws
a
her.
Good
In
Wife slash Dexter super dramatic moment where she's standing like right in front of the car. He pulls her out of the way like right at the last minute, but she gets like clipped. Like,
You
knocks
see
her
her-
leg, like knocks half her body off, some stupid shit
Yeah.
like that.
She
That
gets
was going into like B movie territory.
Yeah, you're gonna
but-
see her. She get hit by a car, whatever the car crash, and then all of a sudden you're gonna see like she's about to lose her vision, and then you see the Hulk going, rips the door open and takes her somewhere. Then you see him
Because
going
remember,
like-
he's already Smart Hulk now, so.
Oh yeah, don't get me started.
Mhm.
That
Yeah, so with that being said, we'll
Yeah.
dive a little bit into how this connects to the greater overall universe, because this does definitely for this first episode is going to take some precedence overall. So with Star Wars, obviously we talked about how the Mandalorian fit into the greater Star Wars overall Star Wars universe, a little bit of reference there, and obviously again, WandaVision, in addition to being part of the greater overall MCU universe, also connects to the comic lore as well. So I wanted to discuss about the comics because I think a big subject of conversation going into this show was how. What was the purpose, obviously, for this style, and what was it going to result in? Obviously, I think it takes a lot of. I think it doesn't take that much common sense in order to understand that this is all an elaborate fantasy of combat. But whether it is a medicinally induced hallucination, whether it is she induced this on herself, whether it is she is somehow trapped herself in another dimension, the only confirmed things we obviously again have to play off of just based on what we know is that this will tie directly into both the upcoming movies, Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, and the Untitled Spider-Man 3, which will involve the multiverse as well as the Loki show. Because again, the multiverse was going to be a big subject of topic that the MCU was going to cover in Phase 4. Now, with that being said, just in order to kind of maybe provide some subtle hints as far as based on what we know based off comic lore, Chris, I actually wanted you to jump into the Vision arc that you were talking about, only because I don't remember that one off the top of my head. But for me, the biggest comic arc that comes up is the House of M storyline, which famously was where Wanda, after Wanda was tasked by Magneto to reshape the world into a world where him and his family ruled and mutants were basically dominating, right? That was that was just one example of how Wanda has shifted reality in order to reflect potentially a damaged mental state. It has happened many, many times. It's what's made her one of the most problematic, but also kind of ingenious Marvel characters. It's kind of like a really interesting way of, tackling mental health from a superhero standpoint. For me,
That's
one
the
of the
run I'm
most-
talking about, by the way.
right. The House of M?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I was
got it.
trying to find it too to pull it up on this. I like to pull it up. It's
because
just buried in my
that was
closet
that was
somewhere.
an X-Men centered arc as well. But for me, the one that I always think of, and the one that I think they're also drawing a lot of inspiration from, was the Avengers Disassembled arc, which was where famously Wanda caused a series of mass hallucinations after she discovered that she was tricked by Mephisto, who again is an enemy of Doctor Strange, and obviously has assumed the form of Satan many times. The ruler of hell. tricked her after it was revealed that her marriage to Vision and the 2 children that she bore were a lie and hallucinations. And so as a result, she created a series of massive things that ended up tearing the Avengers apart. They got several Avengers killed. Tony Stark appeared drunk in front of the UN. There was a lot of crazy dark stuff that happened, and afterwards the Avengers decided to hang it up and take a break for a while overall, you know? And so they seem to be, whatever the end result is, again, Marvel, the MCU has been known for changing around a lot of the direct inspiration from the comics and rather loosely drawing from it in order to kind of recreate the stories. Obviously, you know, we saw that heavily for the Age of Ultron and Civil War arcs that they did. I will say that we know kind of what the end result is going to be. So at this point, it's just going to be a matter of what specifically is causing it and how it will tie in, obviously, later on, which is something that we'll know by the end of the show.
Yeah, I think looking forward, this show, it's like I said, the filmmaking's really well done. So I think it's going to offer a new visual side, a new stylized side to the MCU, which I'm all for because I was getting sick of the formula. This clearly broke the formula, not only just because it's in TV format. I think it broke the feel of the first 3 phases of the MCU, but it still was kind of cookie cutter and it still was predictable, which are some of the biggest issues I've had with the MCU as a whole from the start. But the one thing that I hope that these shows do individually is stand on their own, and they're not just used as jumping off points to, you know, once we get back to normal, drive butts into seats at theaters and to sort of hold us over in between the next big blockbuster, because I think that's going to completely take away from how special these shows could be. And right now, I fear that's where we're going. So you kind of just went into like more specific MCU style stuff, Dom. You said everything I was going to say about it. House of M was the exact comic run that I was talking about, referencing from the top. So I don't want to, there's nothing I can add to there aside from the sentiment of the fact that I hope that these aren't more marketing style ploys to like Unboxing said, like he raised a good point. Let me pull it up real quick. He said, do you think this is, Doctor Strange going to make an appearance in WandaVision to set up for Spider-Man 3, to set up for the Multiverse of Madness? I hope that these shows can be more than just setting up for something. I hope that they can stand on their own and be interesting on their own.
I mean, you already know my thoughts as far as that whole mentality towards just setting up. I think that's more so just kind of a victim of the times that we're in as opposed to the individual stories, but I still see your point as far as that goes.
I mean, look, in terms of, I know you guys are way more into this because I was like, whoa, I was like, whoosh, I was in the wind tunnel here because I was like, what's going on here?
Back to be like, oh man,
yeah,
back comics were simple.
Yeah, so no, but honestly, like in terms of storylines and whatnot, in terms of, I understand what you're talking about, Chris, in terms of, is this going to be, yes, and I'm gonna be really honest with you, that is exactly what they're going to do. Once this pandemic is over, those storylines is going to, but the thing is, I think Kevin Feige, I said this before on the live stream on Levels of Geeks, he already said that you need to watch every TV show because it's going to go into the movies. So it's already forcing your ass to watch all 8 episodes, 10 episodes of Loki and where does all this tie up and how is this going to make the broader vision of phase 4 or 1 through 4? Because we really don't know. Loki died. So that's taking it back to 1 through 3. So again, I don't like that because that to me is a fucking loophole. Because to me, as someone that just want to watch the movies to enjoy it, now you're forcing my hand to watch TV shows just to catch up with the movies. Whereas I just want to sit down and see Iron Man beat ass. No, now I got to see episodes of She-Hulk because I don't know if their characters are going to come over to a Iron Man movie. Because if you see in a movie, I mean, how many times you see in a movie and you go, where does this character come from? And then someone online go, oh, he came from, Iron Man 1. And you're like, really? Now I got to go back and watch Iron Man 1. And that's the problems I had with the DC shows. They were all good until they started to unite all of them into this one universe. Then you had to watch Supergirl, Legends of Tomorrow, DC. And I said, after season 3, I stopped watching all of the DC shows. I
got to admit, though, it's a great marketing tactic because nothing says, hey, watch our show better than, hey, it's going to connect to this other show that you like.
Yeah, but it has a double-edged sword. It's a
slippery slope, definitely. Because but when it works,
it does work. 110%. You can't deny that. I mean, look, it's the highest-grossing movie franchise of all time for a reason, right? The thing is, though, and then I'll throw it back to you, Alex. I think this is the endless debate. This is the chicken or the egg debate of the new film critics that cover like the blockbusters. You're not going to back down from your side. Like I'm never going to say that I appreciate it because I think it does more marketing than actual storytelling. But then I see your side too, Dom. It just sucks that like they created this rift among the fandom. I feel like that's not what these characters are about to start with. But hey, it's a corporation. They got to make money. Alex, I didn't mean to cut you off, man.
No.
Up where you left off.
But the thing is like you're absolutely right. And the thing that always gets me mad, and I don't care, like I said, I will enjoy whatever Marvel throws up because I still think Winter Soldier is the best Marvel movie they ever put out. That's just me. Because I just think it's up my dark alley,
more
which
than
I love.
Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh no, I'm not into that. That
Man.
one is a cool movie. It's a cool movie, but again, Captain number 2 is my joint. Yeah. Everyone knows me. I love
that is good. That one is really good.
That one, everyone knows me. I love the spy. I love the dark, like that whole Batman feel, darkness. That had it. Like that had all the elements for me to enjoy, and they gave it to me. But in terms of what you guys are saying, the problem that I have now, whether they do this universe, whether the DC does the same universe, or let's say they had a successful one, right? Let's just hypothetical. This is a multiverse. DC had a successful one. Marvel has a successful one. But the problem that was always going to stand is the fact that everyone is going to nitpick the filmmaker or the story they're going to introduce to you on screen. Whether it's a good movie, someone's going to find something that's freaking horrible about it and go, hey, that's not in the storyline in the comic. But it's like, dude, the first 22 movies of the Marvel movies, they're not all carbon copy of the comics. They had to twist it to tell you this big picture that they gave you, which is Endgame. Now, DC, which they always fall flat, is that people go, well, they have the animated series. Why can't you do that? Like, those are good. And it's like they want to do their own thing. But again, someone's gonna like it, someone's gonna hate it. If people love it and enjoy it, Marvel's doing the right thing. They're giving everybody what they want. You got 10 seasons of different characters. It's not Captain America, it's not Thor, it's not the ones that catapulted the series. They're giving you brand new characters. I like that. That's pretty cool. But again, I don't like it in TV format. I like movie format. I enjoy the movie. It's 2 hours. I'm done. I don't need to see 10 episodes to catch up. And then next, you know what I mean? Like it goes on and on and on and then intertwines with each other. That's all I gotta say. In terms of this, I think Wanda, again, my theory is from watching movies, I don't watch, TV shows, and my theory is she got caught. We don't know how she got captured. They induced her into like some type of coma to suppress her powers, and they're using her mind to mind fuck her some way, and she's with Vision in her mind, and then she's going back to her kid era of the 50s, and then her brother's gonna show up somewhere. Ultron is gonna be the one that's gonna try to snap her out of it, because that's the one that she had the big battle with. Because remember, he killed him, right? Like, well, she thought
she killed him. Yeah.
So there's some way Ultron is gonna trigger the shit out of her memory to come back to life, and then everything else is going to go from there on. How they execute it, we really don't know. From this show, it looks like it's going to be one weird ass way they're going to do it. But that's my theory in terms of the whole thing. Where it slots, I really don't know. I cannot tell you with these two characters alone.
Got it. All right. So
Well
final star ratings, and then you want to get out of here?
Sure. Yeah. I could jump in here.
Yeah.
Want to just rate them both as like an overall score?
Yeah, just both.
Yeah, so I'm going to give it a 3.5 stars because I think it has potential, and I'm willing to be proven wrong.
Same.
I would really like to be proven wrong because I did enjoy a lot of it. It's just that I got to be critical when I can, because I think a lot of people aren't when it comes to Marvel. But I'm not saying I didn't have an okay time with it. So 3.5 stars. I'm willing to give it the benefit of the doubt until I'm proven wrong.
Yeah, same with me. 3.5. Again, it's not incredible. I don't love the format, but I enjoy that the MCU is back, and I enjoy that they're taking a different direction. I'm excited to see where this goes, but I wasn't the biggest fan of these first 2 episodes per se. But again, that's mostly just because of the nature of the stories that they're telling, because as a result of the format. So same for me, 3.5 out of 5 stars.
In terms of the first one, I gave it a 3 out of 5, and then the second one I'll give it a 2.5, because it didn't do nothing crazier than the first one did. It was the same black and white, same comedy pitch. They gave you two new things, I guess, in terms of the story they were trying to go. Yeah, so that
showed how much TV changed in like what? How many years was it between I Love Lucy and Sabrina? Like 2, 3, something like that.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
So with that being said, thank you, people. This is our kickoff episode for our, let's call it recapathon, our Marvel recapathon. That's a good title overall for this kind of saga that we're going to be inundated with. Again, we're going to be doing Falcon and Winter Soldier right after this one wraps up in 7 weeks. Then we're going to be doing Loki after that. Then after Loki comes out, it's going to be a little bit of a weird period because that'll probably be when we start to see the Star Wars shows pop up. So it'll kind of be like a pick and choose as to like what we're going to recap, as far as we know for the fact.
We don't got to think that far ahead.
Right.
We're interested by What If. We're interested by Book of Boba Fett. We're going to try and do as much as we can.
Yes.
You
is
know
the
us.
overall moral of this story.
Yeah.
But again, thank you to Alex for being here and being awesome and for stealing the show as per usual.
No, I did
on,
not
dude.
do
You
the show.
do
Everyone's gonna
in the
hate
best
me.
way. In the best way possible, man.
Everyone's gonna
This is
hate me.
this is the most fun that I've had on a podcast.
And Alex, just so you know, if you do end up watching more, for some reason, if you do end up, I love doing our show, but when Alex is on, he's a dynamite guest.
It's a force to be reckoned with.
Exactly. And if you do end up watching more of this, you come on any week. We'd love to have you to continue roasting this show with you, or maybe change of heart. So no pressure. If you're out, you're out. But you always got a place here for the next few weeks.
For you guys, I'm gonna continue going.
Okay.
I'm gonna continue going for you guys. I'm gonna continue.
Yeah.
I'm gonna watch
next
next week.
So good
I'm gonna watch the following week, and each week I'm gonna DM you what I thought because I know there's other people.
Give us a don't back.
Maybe
Give us
we'll
a
have to have you
Give
back
us a
on for the
full
finale or
paragraph
something.
rant.
Yes, I will do that. The
Hell
first
yeah.
and the last, I will come back.
Perfect. Love
Yes,
it.
but
You guys heard it live
excellent.
here for the first time.
Love it.
Yes.
And I do have to say, Dom, the chat was explosive
The chat
tonight,
was
man.
on fire tonight.
On
I'm
fire.
not gonna lie, there are some nights where the chat doesn't always come through, but when they come through, oh man, they are there. Like all you guys, thanks to Unboxing,
Our schedule's lined
Jay.
up.
Our schedule's lined up, to say the least. It helps when there's a giant Marvel or Star Wars property that comes out. That's always a good helper. So people, thank you once again. Let us all continue to be Disney, to go back and begin to worship Disney again for this next couple of years. Our lords and saviors throughout this hell times that we're living in. Alex, where can the good people find you on the YouTubes, the social medias?
The YouTubes. You can find me on the YouTubes. You can find me on YouTube's at Levels of Geeks live. Levels of Geeks on YouTube, and then we go live Monday and Wednesdays at 9 p.m. with 2 different hosts. On Monday is me and Nate. We tackle more of the action movie, but broader all our collections, like what top 10 this and that ratings. Then on Wednesday, me and Dave from Flicks Talk, we get together. We have fun. Sometime coming up soon, we're gonna have our Cross the Stream event, which we do every month. Which we watch the original movie on Levels of Geeks, and then we critique it. And then the next night we go to his channel and we cover the remake, and we talk about which one is the best out of the two. That's coming up soon. But yeah, and then throughout I do PlayStation 5 gaming. Like I play Valhalla live, or I play MLB The Show. But again, other than that, you can follow me on Levels of Geek live. Live? Why I keep saying damn live? Because I'm live now. That's what it is. I'm so used to being on camera. Levels of Geeks on Twitter, Instagram. There you go. There you have it. You can find me.
And Chris, before we plug obviously our channel, where can the good people find you on your personal? Because you've been doing a lot of stuff in your personal life, obviously.
Thanks. I appreciate that, Dom. I am on Facebook, Instagram, and I guess Twitter. But who cares about Twitter?
Who cares about Twitter? Fuck Twitter.
Yeah, pretty much. At Christian Ivanko. The don't worry about first and last names. It's in the description. You guys can go and find it. I know it's always difficult. I don't want to spell it right now.
Spell it.
Yeah, I'm gonna be putting out music again this year for the first time in almost a year and a half. It used to be what I did full time, and I'm excited to get back in the saddle. So I appreciate you guys sort of following me, and if you like my commentary, check out another type of my artistic outlet. And Dom, where can they find you and follow you?
I'm on Facebook and Instagram at Movie Nerd Reviews, but of course, the most important thing, the thing that I am putting all of my effort into nowadays, the Talkin TV podcast, people. We, of course, we put up content every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. We live stream 2 days a week now. We have our podcast episodes. We've got our top 10 TV shows and movies still to cover of 2020, so make sure you guys tune into that for the next couple of Mondays. You can find out all about our new stuff by following our socials on Facebook and Instagram at Talkin TV and subscribing to this channel right here. Yeah, that's right, because guess what? Chris is so good, he designed a fucking button as part of all the graphics in order to remind you guys where we are on the social medias and to click on that subscribe button, click the bell next to it. That way you get notified every time we put up new stuff on live. Leave a comment, that way we can keep up with your feedback, and also just click the like button, because you know that works too for the YouTube algorithms. Overall, it's really good for us. Thank you once again. We've got 7 more weeks of this, people, so get ready for a lot more TV homages. That's the only thing I have to say. Oh, man. And for myself, from Alex, from Chris, we want to thank you guys. Have a great night. Have a great start to your new year. And as always, watch more fucking movies, and in this case, TV. We out.